What's to do, YouTube? This is your boy Eco Gamer, and these are going to be my top 10 worst games of 2017 that I played, in my opinion. So, let's start this list off at number 10. We have Snipper Clips on the Nintendo Switch. Now, Snipper Clips I thought would be a cute little fun puzzler game that you could play with friends, but it was very convoluted, and the stick figures, like, getting them together in the same order was just, like, the game overall was just straight garbage on the Wii. I'm glad I only paid $15 for it, and I tried playing it with some girls at work, but utterly they were confused as I was at, like, what the hell were we supposed to do? Maybe I went bad at the game, it's just, the game's concept just didn't overall click with us at all whatsoever. So that's number 10 on my list. Snipper Clips is about a meh game. It's not terrible, but if it's up your alley, then I can recommend it for that. Number 9, we have The Surge. I played that on PC. Not the highest Metacritic score either. The Surge is basically Dark Souls with mechs. Now, the concept I thought was cool, but the gameplay experience was the complete opposite. Now, the game runs fine on PC. Graphics-wise, it looks decent. The combat is it's not as good and fluid as Dark Souls was. And the bosses themselves are very uninteresting. And they're not even challenging whatsoever. Like, the first two bosses may have only killed me once or twice. And usually I die more than that on the Dark Souls bosses. So overall, this game is not that good of a Dark Souls clone. I'd highly recommend playing Nioh over this game, or Bloodborne or something up that alley. Or hell, just go back and play Dark Souls instead of this game. The game overall is meh. It's not terrible, but it is not that great of a game either. So I definitely recommend staying clear of this one if you're looking for a tough game in the Souls type genre. Alright, moving on my list to number 8, we have Fire Emblem Warriors on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I am not much of a Dynasty Warriors fan. I'm kind of iffy with that. I liked Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2. I did like Dynasty Warriors 8. That game was kind of fun too. Overall, this game was just like, it has a 60 frames per second mode, so the performance isn't an issue. Graphics are alright. But as for the gameplay, it is just straight garbage. Like, the gameplay is just, it's like, go here and strike that. Like, it's so out of place with what you're doing that it doesn't even feel like a Fire Emblem Warriors game, like, at all. I was, like, confused at what was going on the whole time. And, like, it's like, fight these guys, go over there. You're like, it's like, you just don't know where to go. And the map is so tiny and everything's so spread out all over the place, it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. So if you have a Switch, avoid this game at all costs. Next, we have Recore the Definitive Edition on the Xbox One. I got this for free because I played Recore last year, I think it was. Recore overall was a mech game, but this definitive version, what they added was complete garbage and made no sense. You went into an area, you fought these enemies, and you had to drive around on this, mobile dog. That the controls were horrendous on the mobile dog, by the way. Like, just complete garbage. You couldn't even move around it all that well, and the steering was clunky. I would feel more comfortable playing a Halo 1 Warthog than this driving mechanics. And don't get me started with the bosses. They make no sense, and there's nothing you gain from playing this at all. Like, so overall, Recore was mad itself, and this Definitive Edition just made it even more of a turd game. So, avoid Recore Definitive Edition. Even if they give it to you for free, just uninstall it if it pops up in your install list. Alright. Moving on to number 6, we have Hakuko Kyoto Wins for the PC and the PlayStation Vita. Now, I'm sure most of you have not heard of this series. The Kyoto games are basically, I played them back on the PS3 and the PSP. They're a very Meiji period Japanese story-ish game. It's basically a visual novel. Now, my gripes with the PC and Vita version is they take content from the originals that was in the original games and then sell it to you as DLC, on top of it not working whatsoever when I bought it on the PC, so it was a broken mess with content removed in the game. So avoid this on either system and just emulate it, or buy the PSP version if you can, or even PS3 if you own that still. Moving on to number 5, we have a game called Has Been Heroes, or it should have been has been in the garbage. So I got this for the Nintendo Switch. Overall, the game was just straight up boring. Like, it was just a snooze fest. Like, and the combat was like, it's like, here comes the rush of enemies charging you. It's like, yeah, not that great of a game whatsoever. It's just straight garbage. I would avoid it. I mean, and for the price of $20, it is not worth $20. It's maybe worth $2 for a mobile game. That's like its value to me, anyways. That's like how much it would be worth to me. For what the price they're asking for. All right, moving up the list at number 4, we have Digimon World Next Order for the PlayStation 4. So I am a huge fan of the Digimon World games. I played all the old ones from the OG PS1, 1, 2, 3, even Digimon World 4, which was on the GameCube. I enjoyed that somewhat with friends because it had co-op. But this game is straight garbage. Like, just to get through the first area, you have to grind. It's basically a grind fest. And it's not fun grinding like Dark Souls or something like that. It is straight grind and get nowhere. Like, the story makes no sense, and the Digimon like are limited to few or nothing. So this game is straight garbage on PS4, and the asking price was $60. This game isn't even worth $10. I'd recommend avoiding it like the plague. All right, moving up to number 3, we have a game called Strafe, which released on the PC and PlayStation 4. It was basically a Kickstarter game to be a Doom clone, like the OG Dooms from the olden days. That was basically what the game was going for, and it failed it failed in every department to deliver that experience. Like, it utterly failed. Like, I literally beat the game in 2 hours, got all the achievements in the 2 hours, and just refunded it because it was like the enemies looked like Minecraft characters that just walked and acted stupid, and you just shot them. Like overall, the game was just straight garbage, and it performed fine, but the asking price was $20, and this game isn't even worth $5. So I'd highly recommend avoiding this on PC if you see it. It's not a good Doom clone. At number 2, we have Super Bomberman R for the Nintendo Switch. I picked up my Switch on launch day and picked up Zelda and Bomberman R. Shouldn't have bought Bomberman R. That game is straight garbage. Now, I played Bomberman back on the GameCube, and this is basically a reskin of those Bombermans with less content. And it's even slower, like, it has performance issues. I know there's co-op, but overall the game was just straight garbage. And that's why it's so high up on my list. And the asking price was $50. This game isn't even worth $15. So I wouldn't pick up Bomberman unless it's under $10. If you see it for under $10, then it's probably worth it if you have nothing to play on your Switch. But the Switch has so many games now, and there's much better indies on the Switch than this thing. And they're like $10 or even $15. So I'd recommend picking those up over this game. And finally, number 1 on my list for worst game of the year goes to Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, Mass Effect is, well, obviously is one of my favorite franchises. I played 1, 2, and 3. I enjoyed playing those a shit ton. I put hundreds of hours in those. You guys pretty much can guess the spiel. I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. Now, Andromeda, graphics-wise and performance-wise, it's absolute dog shit on the consoles. Like, it runs like ass on the PS4 and Xbox One. On PC, it runs buttery smooth, looks amazing on that Frostbite engine. This game is basically a performance. Its performance is golden on the PC. I have no gripes with the gaming performance or graphics of this game. My gripes are the facial animations were straight garbage. Like, everyone knows that. The memes came out for the facial animations. Obviously, we all know that whole spiel. Every character in the game was boring and was, like, uninteresting or, like, in the old games, I could get invested in the characters because they were interesting. These characters are straight boring, and they talk like this. How are you? Yeah. And then their faces will distort out of nowhere, because I played this on day 1. And that was a straight waste of money on that part. I only paid $30 for it, so I'd say don't pay for this game at all. It is basically the worst game on my list. The story is it's like, oh, you're going to a new universe, so everything you built up in the last 3 games, gone. You abandoned it. Now you're in a new universe, and basically you don't know who the villain is. They don't tell you who it is. You're basically fighting these guys who are morphing the aliens in your system. And there's like maybe 2, if best, new species they introduce in the game. So basically, Mass Effect is dead. It's buried, and EA killed it, just like they kill all their franchises off. So, these are my top 10 worst games of the year, guys. Make sure to like, favorite, and subscribe this video, and I'll catch you guys next year's on my top 10 worst games. Hopefully, we won't do that again. This is your boy, Eagle Gamer. Out!